So, we've already talked about one of the two characters that's coming in the next patch. That's Robin. But what about the other character, Boothill? A lot of players are super hyped about this new Galaxy Ranger. So in this video, I'm going to be explaining his current kit, sharing my overall thoughts on his current power level, and possibly do some comparison between him and our other two hunt characters, Seele and Dr.Ratio. So leave a like if you enjoy this video, and let's get started. But before that, let me hook you up with something. Lootbar.gg is a top-of platform for some of your favorite games like honkaistarrail and Genshin Impact. It's a site with great positive reviews, and some of your favorite content creators like Jello Impact, Yukaja also use this site to top up. And why wouldn't they? Lootbar.gg provides discounted prices for any and everything that's available. All the accounts are 100% secure and requires only the UID for recharging. Other than that, it also saves 20% compared to the official prices. So there's this new character Aventurine that just arrived with their banner. And if you're like me and you've spent all your J's for Akron, and now you're looking to top up for Mr. Gambler over here, as you do get double the currency for your first in-game purchase, then Lootbar is just what you need. And it's really easy. Just go to lootbar.gg, select honkaistarrail, choose whichever pack you want to purchase, type your UID here, select your region, and click on top up now. And then just choose your preferred payment method, and boom, just like that. Within a few minutes, you get your Jades. It's cheap, it's quick, and it's totally safe. It's the best platform for in-game top-ups. And you also get an extra 5% discount for your first purchase. So what are you waiting for? Go check out lootbar.gg through the link in the description and in the pinned comment down below. So the first time I saw his kit, it seemed like a 5-star version of Luca, at least to me. He's a single target breaker, he's physical, he's hunt, which is different than Luca, but his overall playstyle is kinda similar. It is insanely high break damage, and his kit is unique that way, where he does extra break damage depending if the enemy's weakness broken or not. And he can break the enemy real fast. So let's dive into how he does it. So the main thing you need to understand about Boothill is his skill. He marks a single target and enters a standoff state for 2 turns. Also, his basic attack gets enhanced, and he cannot use his skill until the standoff state ends. It's similar to Blade's skill, which also makes him super good for auto battles. Next, in the standoff state, the enemy is taunted and can only target Boothill, and both the enemy and Boothill himself receives increased damage from one another. And after the target is defeated or his weakness broken, Boothill gets 1 stack of pocket trick shot, and the standoff state ends. Very cowboy duel-like playstyle. Some other things about his skill is that after using it, Boothill's turn won't end. Similar to Blade's skill or Lune's skill, you want to chain his enhanced basic attack after his skill. Also, this skill will not regenerate any energy. We'll talk about that later. So what his enhanced basic attack does? Well, to put it simply, it just deals a bit more physical damage to a single enemy, but it is much more with this talent. Now for every stack of pocket trick shot Boothill has, which can stack up to 3 times, the enhanced basic attack's toughness reducing damage is increased by 50%, and at max stacks, it's 150%. This, he can instantly weakness break some enemies, and when he breaks the enemy, he again gets a stack of pocket trick shot. Next, if the enemy is weakness broken when the enhanced basic attack hits, for every stack of pocket trick shot, it is extra break damage, equal to a percentage of Boothill's physical break damage. This combo can result in very high damage numbers, which I will show in a bit. But there are some limitations about this break damage, like the max toughness taken into account by this attack cannot exceed 16 times the base toughness damage of his enhanced basic attack, which is 30, so 16 times is 480. So if an enemy has more toughness than 480, like Sam, even then the attack will only count till 480, which is still a lot of damage. And finally, after winning a battle, Boothill can retain trickshot stacks for the next battle, which can be useful if you're fighting multiple battles, like in Sim Universe. As for his ultimate, it's nothing super special, it just applies physical weakness to a single enemy and deals physical damage, and also delays the target action by 40%, which is cool, but his skill and his talent are the main focus of his kit. Now for his passive, his first passive increases his crit rate and crit damage based on his break effect, which to max out you want to get 300% break effect on your Boothill, and that will give you 30% crit rate and 150% crit damage, which is a lot of stats. Considering you start with 5% crit rate and 50% crit damage, if you just count this passive, your Boothill will already be at 35% crit rate and 200% crit damage. Just add a crit rate body piece and you are pretty much set. You don't have to worry about crit stats on your relics. You just have to get 300% break effect, which I will share some point on how you can get to that point. For his second passive, it decreases the damage he takes from the enemies that are not in standoff state, which is a nice way to balance out things. Last, his third passive is his unique way of gaining energy. Whenever he gets a stack of pocket trick shot, he regenerates 10 energy, and this effect can also trigger if he's already at max 3 stacks, which makes for a really unique way of playing him. So how do we get to 300% break effect? Well, for that, let's look at some build ideas. By the way, if you have reached to this point of the video and like what you're watching, consider subscribing to the channel, as it does help this channel grow and motivates me to make more content for you guys. So here is a build example. The main thing to focus on is getting to that 300% break effect. And of course there are some premium ways that will help you a lot, like getting a signature like cone. which gives a lot of break effect. But I'm gonna take the most bare minimum, the absolute worst case scenario. So look at this chart. Now here you can see that his break effect is 250, and that's what I want you guys to aim for at least. So how do we get to 250%? First, her bonus stat gives 37% break effect. The thief set will give you 32%, and with the Thalia ornament set, you have another 36%. Finally, from a break effect rope, that gives you 64%, and about 80% break effect from the substats, you get 250% break effect. As for the rest 50%, well, that's where a specific support comes around, Ruan Mei. She gives 20% break effect to all her allies. And if you equip her with the Watchmaker set, then that's another 30% break effect. And Ruan Mei ults every 3 turns, so it's like a 1 turn downtime. But well, this is the worst case scenario. With Ruan Mei in the Watchmaker set, you get to 300% break effect. Of course, there are a few things to consider, like the 80% break effect sounds a lot from just substats, but this chart is calculated with low substat rolls. And also for Boothill, you don't care about any other stats. You already are at 200% crit damage, and with a crit rate body, you are already at 67% crit rate. You don't have to worry about DPS stats at all. The only 3 stats you are looking for in his relic pieces are break effect, speed. You want to make sure you reach 145 speed to activate the Thalia set, and the last thing you want is attack. Since you already have so much crit, you lack attack. I did use an attack orb instead of using a physical damage orb because I'm using Ruan Mei. She gives so much damage bonus that you can substitute your damage bonus orb with an attack orb, and it won't be much of a difference. And lastly, I'm using the Herta Store Lycoon, just for some extra attack and crit rate. This is the bare minimum stats you need for Boothill, if you are not going for his Lycoon. Now there is another way, and that is the Harmony Trailblazer. He's also a Harmony character, and he gives quite a lot of break effect, and that can reduce the substat goals for Boothill. But I just wanted to show you the result with just one support, so that even if you don't have Ruan Mei, you can just switch her with Imaginary Trailblazer, and this build will still work the same. And of course, if you get like insane substat rolls on your relics, then you might not need any supports at all, but that will depend on your luck. So with this type of build, what kind of damage are we expecting? Well, here are the estimated damage numbers that you can expect from this build. It's calculated with just Ruan Mei as a support. You can expect more damage than this depending on your build and how many supports you use. The main thing to take away from this is the fact that his talent is going to be his main source of damage. Given you build him with a lot of break effect and he is physical, even without counting extra bleed dots, his normal break damage is already pretty huge. And with his talent at 3 stacks, the damage becomes even more crazy. Also, taking the fact that these insane break damage numbers does not need any crit stats or attack stats, it's just bonkers to me. As for how he compares to our other hunt carries, like Seele and Dr.Ratio, I did a poll on this, and thanks everyone who shared their thoughts. So just to have a quick comparison, let's just take these 3 points and we'll make a decision based on them. I'm not gonna talk about quote-unquote damage because all of them have different team variations, and judging them based on their personal damage output is kind of a waste, as all of them can fully clear MOC with similar investment. So that aside, the first point I want to discuss is flexibility. And here I think Boothill shines above all. Being able to implant physical weakness to any target with his ultimate allows him to be used against any type of enemy. Seele can also achieve this with Mono Quantum Team, but that just takes too much premium investment. Like you need Silverwolf and Sparkle, but Boothill being able to do Silverwolf's job by himself is what makes him the best in this category. Next is ease of use. Now here as well, Boothill is slightly better than the other two, in my opinion. Just because of the fact that most of his damage does not need crit stats, like his talent contributes the most of his damage, and the break damage does not give a shit about critting. His physical break damage is already pretty huge, and then comes his talent and makes it even better. And this is the point where Seele just falls behind. Like all of her attacks are one hit, and that needs to crit, otherwise you lose out on a lot of damage. And that's one of the reasons why a lot of players just don't like playing Seele. It's much more manageable for Dr.Ratio, as he does get a lot of crit stats from his passive, and given the fact that he attacks so often that the overall damage becomes pretty consistent. Also, Seele relies on a resurgence buff, and she needs those weaker mobs so that she can get those extra turns. But now all the small mobs are just super tanky, and Seele can't really one-shot them, which means she doesn't get any extra turns, resulting in a huge damage loss. The current meta is just super unfair for Seele. Dr.Ratio does have his debuff requirements, but given the type of characters we are getting right now and the enemies we are fighting, the debuffs requirement is not that much of an issue. As for Boothill, well, he's great here as well. He doesn't have any kind of requirements. He mostly deals break damage, and his talent helps him break the enemy faster. He already gets a ton of stats from his passives, and not critting one of his attacks doesn't affect him as much as someone like Seele. He is just better. For the last category, we have F2B friendliness. Well, Dr.Ratio wins here obviously, because he as a character is already free, so he wins by default. But he won't be free forever, so in that regard, who is more F2B friendly? Well, I think all 3 are pretty much on the same level here, as the main factor of them being F2B friendly depends on their light cone options. And we already have such a great hunt light cone that is totally free. But Boothill doesn't even need a light cone to perform well. Like really, you can find videos of him clearing MOC 12 with preservation light cones. And apart from that, there's one more factor that also decides one's F2B friendliness, and that is teammates. For an optimal performance, Seele wants either Silverwolf or Sparkle, both 5 stars. Dr.Ratio also kinda wants Topaz or Silverwolf, but Boothill can work with our trusty Harmony Trailblazer. He doesn't need any premium supports. Sure, having Ruanmei helps a lot, but Harmony Trailblazer can fill that role quite well. Overall, I think Boothill definitely is, in my opinion, one of, if not the best hunt character in Honkai Star Rail. He's more flexible, more F2B friendly, and overall a better character. And that's all I have for this video. It was a quick explanation with a bit of a comparison of his current kit and a bit of a build discussion that will help you guys get a better idea of how you should prepare for him. Of course, a full build guide will be out after the version livestream, but before that, I hope this video did help you guys understand Boothill's kit a bit better. If you have any other thoughts about Boothill, feel free to share them in the comments. Thank you so much for watching this video, and I'll see you guys in the next one.